Okay, here's the rib video I was talking about. I got the grill. Well, the grill's not ready yet, but I've got the charcoal chimney started, and I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to show you how I prepare my ribs. I got baby back ribs here. It's a nice cut of meat. They cost me $15, $16, something like that. So, but they're a nice set of rack of ribs. And here's how I take the silver skin off. Now I've already done it, but you know, you get like a paper towel underneath the edge of it, and you just peel the silver skin off of it, the membrane or whatever they call it. I guess it's not silver skin, but anyway, you peel that off of it, and that allows all the rub and flavor and smoke and everything to get to your meat in between your ribs on the inside. Now on the outside, there's not much prep that I really do to them. If there's a large chunk of fat or something, thick fat, I'll cut that off, but I don't have any there. And another thing I like to do with my ribs, I like to pick a rack of ribs that has an extra chunk of meat here towards the small end of the rack. This seems to keep this small end from drying out too quick. But as you can see, there's a pretty large chunk of meat there. I'll show you this side. You can see the ribs are only this thick, but I got this large chunk of meat on here. And this meat, you know, keeps all this moist because this is such a small piece of meat here. So anyway, it helps it cook even and all that. So just a second, I'll go out and show you how I start my charcoal chimney. Okay, I want to show you how I set my grill up here. First off, my firebox, I flip my grate so I keep my charcoal off the bottom to keep air movement. You know, I keep air movement coming from underneath here all the way underneath and into the chamber. And I put most of my charcoal or wood here to keep the heat up in the grill, and it holds heat real well that way. Again, I put water in these, and that keeps the smoker moist and all that. But the other thing I do, I can get these out and I'll show you. My tray that I use, my charcoal tray, actually for the chargriller, I flip it over. There's a grate on top of that, and I flip that over. So this bottom chamber, it makes this, you know, all even heating across the whole grill. And then I have a hot spot here, and obviously a hot spot here, which I combat that a little bit with my water there. So, but I keep my food away from this side anyway, and you know, that keeps my smoke. You know, my smoke still gets in here, but I keep even heating across the grill, so I don't get a really hot spot here, and you know, too hot of a spot over here, or not enough over here, or whatever. So, anyway, that's how I do that. And then I'll show you how I start my charcoal chimney. And the charcoal's not quite ready to go yet. All I do under here, and I put on a block of wood today just because the ground's so moist, but fill that up with newspaper down there, and fill this up with charcoal, and I light the newspaper and let it go, and it'll burn the newspaper and get the charcoal started. And as soon as your charcoal starts to ash up, I put it in the grill and let it go from there. And then while the charcoal's getting completely lit and burnt, it's heating the grill. So I use Kingsford charcoal. It's the only kind I'll use, because the other kinds seem to give you a little bit of a flavor that I don't like in the meat. So anyway, when I get ready to rub the meat here, I'll show you how my ribs very thick. Just get enough on there to give it a little coat. And then flip them and do the same thing to the other side. And then I'll let that rest until they're ready to go on the grill. Now this meat's almost at room temperature now. So it's almost ready to go on, but I don't like to rub mine the night before. I used to do that, but it seems like I get a little too much of the rub flavor in the meat, and it seems to kind of dry the meat out a little bit. I got my Maverick Ready Check set up. This is the Maverick Ready Check. I showed this in my brisket video. And you know, that's the transmitter and this is the receiver. It tells you what your food temperature is and what your smoker temperature is. And once my smoker temperature gets up to about 250 or so, I'll put the ribs on. But all it consists of is one little probe for the smoker and one probe that goes into the meat. This probe I don't even put in anymore on the ribs. I only use that on like pork shoulders or briskets or something like that, because the ribs are so thin. So anyway, I'll let the grill get heated up here. I got some water in my pans, and I always start with charcoal. And I'm going to get a couple pieces of wood. Let's see here. Get some wood in here and get it started. And I just put a chunk or two in and let that get smoke in there, and then by that time the grill will be heated up and we'll be ready to put the ribs on. Grill's at 246 and rising, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put the ribs on because I want to videotape this. I might as well open it up. You can see how much smoke's coming on out of there now. And what I did was I added a couple of these little chunks. I just take a hatchet and chunk up some of this wood, and that gets your heat up quick. But we'll go ahead and get the ribs and put those on. Alright, now what I do, and I know a lot of guys don't do that, is I put the bones down for about the first half an hour to 45 minutes. And I don't lose any juices that way. I don't, it doesn't drip for that first half an hour to 45 minutes. It doesn't drip at all. But as the meat's coming up to temperature, it seems like, I get a lot of moisture down towards the, the end of the bones and along that little bit of meat that dries out easily. So that seems to help me. Anyway, so I'm going to close this up, and we're going to go for at least a half an hour, and then I'll look at it and then probably flip it at that point. So. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes now, and I'm going to go ahead and check the ribs and flip them and all that. The grill's been holding right around 240. I just added a little bit more wood, and I got my damper open a good bit. And a lot of guys don't use this top chimney damper. They just keep her halfway open or a quarter of the way open or something. I find that really controls my back pressure in the grill, and it does help a lot. So anyway, go ahead and check them here. And as you can see, they look dry. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm losing no fluid out of the ribs at all, and all my fluid actually kept the tips of that meat moist right between the bones. That's why I keep mine flipped like that. What I'm going to do now is I have a squirt bottle here of Worcestershire and vinegar. That's apple cider vinegar, and I mix that half and half. And I just take, this is only my first time I look at the ribs when I'm going to flip them. I give them a little bit of a squirt, and I'm going to go ahead and flip them here if I can do that while I video. Okay, now you can see, I got some of this fluid here that it never actually dripped. So that's why I only let that go for maybe 40 minutes or so. But during that 40 minutes, it helps keep them, that meat moist right up there by the tip. And now, I don't spray this real heavy, but I missed them again on this side with my mixture. And that's about it. The water's doing good. But close it back up and let it get back up to temperature. So anyway, and then I check my ribs. I'll check them in about another hour. And at that point, depending on what they look like and how the smoke's going, I'll usually wrap them at that point. So I'll video wrapping them and show you how I do all that in just a minute. Okay, the ribs have been on for, let's see, right at 2 hours I think now. And I'm going to go ahead and pull them off and wrap them. So let's take a look here. They look nice and juicy, but they haven't shrunk down the bone much at all. So I usually wait until they're shrunk down the bone a good 1/4 inch or so before I even start checking the meat. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull these off and get them into the house. Okay, and I'm just going to wrap these up. You want to wrap them tight as you can get them anyway. I don't have quite enough on the top there, so I'm going to okay. And now we'll take them back out and get them back on the pit. A lot of guys will put them in the oven at this point, but I think that's cheating, even though I do have them wrapped and I'm not getting much smoke on them. But get them back on the pit, and now I keep my temperature right around 250 to 275, and this is going to be for like 2 hours now. I'm not even going to look at the ribs for 2 hours until I'll peek at them at like 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and then see if they're pulled down the bone a little bit, and then I'll start checking meat temperature. And when I hit 165 to 170, I pull them at that point. So anyway, there's no sense in refilling the water or anything. Let's just keep the heat up and let them go ahead and sit there and kind of steam, I guess. So yeah, here in about 1.5 hours or 2 hours, I'll check. Ribs have been on for just 4 hours, I think, here in a couple minutes. So we'll go out and pull them off, and take them in. They're all wrapped up. We can take a peek at them here. You can see, if you can see, they're pulled back the bone just enough. It looks like they're just falling apart. So I'm going to haul these in the house, and then I'm going to leave them wrapped and let them rest for a couple hours. I don't know if you can see the steam coming out of there, but that's how, that keeps them really moist and tender. So, but they do have 2 hours of smoke, or just under 2 hours of smoke on them, so they should be just about right here. And I'll check the temperature inside, but I know they're done. But okay, and there's the finished product. And I don't sauce the ribs. We just add sauce as we want to as we eat, and that's about it.